Shall we? You know, I don't think it settles on just one. I think that you can't just choose one. I think you have to, I think it goes through all of them.
I don't know. You did that one time in the car.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I remember we had a very serious subject too.
It might stay the same.
Well, friends, so this is the thing. We were going to come on live and we have this topic planned, but I don't know if you were just there when all the clowns came up on us and we had clown hair. It wasn't on purpose, so if that happens again, we'll probably switch because this is not cool. That would not be cool. Anyhow, we haven't been on here for a while. Welcome to Friday Fellowship, where we solve all the world's problems, or maybe just one. And I'm Donna.
And I'm Jen.
And it has been a while. We are going to discuss the holiday season. Now, we are in December right now, so Christmas is upon us. And so it's an interesting time of year. If you would like to share this with a friend, it's going to get spicy and interesting and deep and probably controversial if you like that kind of thing. Just because, oh, I know, I see y'all dropping off. That's okay. It's still going to be fun. Anyhow, Jen and I came from different backgrounds, and we're going to share some insight and some opportunity for you perhaps to even understand your emotions during the holiday season, because there are lots of things that are ingrained in us from a young age that we don't even realize. We have no idea. And so we're going to tell some stories. We're honestly not going to be on here a long, long time because we have an appointment at 6:30 and we'll be leaving to get to that. We are in Texas time right now. And so again, welcome to Friday Fellowship. And so I want to share, first of all, I was born premature by 2 months. And in that day and age, they did not do C-sections 57 years ago, not really. And they did not force your labor. My mom had a situation where she had to give birth. I don't know what was happening to cause me to want to come early, but I did. And in the midst of me coming early, I almost died. And I'm pretty sure both of our lives were at stake. And so something the other day, Jen and I were chatting, and it dawned on me how much I really don't care about the holidays. And what did you say? Do you remember?
Oh, because we talk about things like cellular memory and emotions and cycles. And so it just occurred to me, well, during this time of year, you would have been in the incubator.
So I was born November 27th, which could have been the day before Thanksgiving. Could have been the day after. It even could have been on Thanksgiving. I'm not sure what day that was. However, I was in an incubator through December and through probably most of January, because I was born 7 months. And so they took me to full term in the incubator, where I experienced my first holidays in an incubator, not at home with my family, not where there was a pretty Christmas tree where people were talking and chatting, not where there was turkey being made and kids were fighting over presents or opening presents or whatever. No, I was inside an incubator, possibly with a skeleton crew back in that day, because it was a military base. So things are a little different on a military base than they would be in a civilian hospital, especially nowadays. Back then, things were a whole different ballgame. And so my point is this. You can think whatever you want, whatever. But, I've really never cared for the holidays. I don't hate the holidays, but I've just never really gotten that excited. I'm not the one who gets out all the Christmas decorations and I make sure there's a mantle, and it takes effort for me to get out stockings or to make sure people have stockings. It takes effort for me to buy things to put in there. It takes effort for me to even think, oh, we should probably put a wreath on the door. That includes the Thanksgiving holidays. It just includes what we refer to as a mainstream holiday, where everybody, your yards are filled with sticks with pumpkins or trees or Frosty the Snowman or whatever. I'm just not the one who's ever done it. And it really, truly dawned deep, deep, deep inside of me that that's been my entire life. And I truly believe and have some clarity now. And so that day, when she said that to me, the next day I was walking through a Kroger and it hit me, bam. You don't like the holidays because you were stuck in an incubator. And nobody was holding you, and nobody was loving you, and nobody was giving you a present, and nobody was talking kind things to you, and nobody was mentioning anything. I was just in a sterile incubator, plugged up with lots of tubes, and I don't know where I was in my development, but I wasn't fully developed yet, if you get my drift, for those of you who either have had children or were born early or whatever. And so that day I decided, you know what? I am going to enjoy the rest of the holidays I have on earth. And I think I purchased something Christmassy while I was at Kroger. Mm-hmm. And then yesterday, oh, will you go get that for me? Mm-hmm. And then yesterday, we were, Craig and I were, had a little date night. And then we went by Home Goods because I needed something for the present that I'm giving tomorrow at the ladies' gathering for God's house. And when we were there, I saw something really funny and that I thought was funny and so uncharacteristic of me that I decided to buy the doggone thing because it's probably the most ridiculous thing I could ever do. And so anyway, this is what I bought. Hey, look, them apples, you can't really see it. There you go. Now you got the full on. Oh. Anyway, I bought this ridiculous hat that I'm going to wear sometime or just today. Hey, remember that lady that used to have the tags? Some of y'all are just too
Minnie
young.
Pearl.
Minnie Pearl. Just call me the Minnie Pearl of Christmas.
I loved Minnie Pearl.
Anyhow, I decided I was going to enjoy it. And so since I made the decision that I was going to enjoy the holidays, to enjoy Christmas, to actually enjoy it, I realized I was going to have to be decisive. I was going to have to make a serious decision regarding what that was going to look like for me. So that meant that I would be intentional with decorations. It meant I would be intentional with caring about decorations. And then yesterday, I actually talked to my sister about me being more involved this year because really I've left it up to her the last few years. Said, please feel free, have my kitchen, make the turkey, make the pies. Here's a little bit of money, let me contribute. I mean, this is how much I have not liked the holidays. Even though I'm generous and I love to give, I just didn't know how to decorate and all that jazz. So anyway, long story short, I decided I was going to enjoy the holidays, specifically Christmas. And so just yesterday I told Sandy, I said, listen, we got several options, but one of them is that I actually cook for Thanksgiving, or we do it another day, and that day we go to the Luby's and go hang out and do the movies or something, because I want to actually enjoy it. For me, once I came to know God, I realized that specific holiday, even though I know some people say it's a pagan holiday or whatever, don't care, this specific holiday set aside to recognize the Christ that is in the Christmas, Christ more. And so my whole intention switched almost 30 years ago anyway. And so for me, it's just been about that. But there is also a place where God's like, you know what? I want you to just enjoy life. I want you to have fun. I want you to be a blessing, and I want you to bless. And I want you to love people and love yourself. And I want you to have a good time. And so anyway, that's my portion for right now. Jennifer is going to share the exact opposite on her experience with her womb. Mind you, I just talked about how I was born early, and so my holidays were spent literally in an incubator. And so I've never really liked the holidays, and now I know why, even though I've changed my mind. Jennifer.
I want to take a commercial break.
Commercial!
And say that
Ding, 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 ding. You want to wear the hat while you do it?
No. You look really cute in that, though. A commercial break to say, regardless of your experience with holidays or your current perspective or your emotional state, one thing that I already knew, but I've learned even more by living with and working with Donna, is that every day is a holiday. It's like, oh yeah, your birthday's coming up. When are you gonna do your birthday? I want to celebrate you. La, la, la. It's like, well, every day's my birthday. Whatever, every day's my birthday. And to some degree, there's a lot of truth in that, because I think a lot of us, we want to celebrate someone every day or know that we're loved every day.
Yep.
But it's like most of us don't feel that way. And so we just put all our eggs in the basket of, oh, awesome, a birthday's coming, or oh, Christmas is coming. It's like the one time of year where, it's supposed to be about love and good cheer and generosity, or if you're feeling more, self-centered, it's like, yes, I finally get that thing I've been wanting all year, or whatever, or that bonus at work, or, whatever. And so, the commercial break in between, whatever perspective you have, it's like acknowledging that even if you're in the camp of, oh, that's a pagan holiday or whatever, who cares? Because it's kind of like when we say, we don't have to beg for God to come and show up in a place. God is always present. It's just turning our acknowledgement into officially saying we welcome you, even though you're already here. We acknowledge and you are welcome here. That perspective, rather than God come. So it's kind of the same with a Christmas or holiday. It's every day. Yes, we should be treating each other amazingly and remembering Christ and all of this. However, it's a season where why not take advantage of the whole world, even people who don't even profess to know or love him. They're all acknowledging to some degree that there is a reason for this season and it's special. So I just felt to insert that commercial break. You want me to talk about the womb or?
So yes, we're talking about how
so
sometimes the womb can determine, but you don't even know it till later.
Okay, so I was born in January, the first week of January, but what the doctor said my due date was December 31st, so I would have been a New Year's Eve baby. So I learned later in life that a couple of relatives actually tried to pressure my mom into inducing labor so that they could count me on their taxes.
Wow.
Which my parents were young and in love and whatever.
How old were they when they had you?
My mom turned 20 when she was pregnant with me, and my dad was still 19. And so, anyway, I could see how that practically. I mean, they didn't have anything. They were po. They lived on love, but they were glad that I was coming, and they were doing the best they could. And I had my little Bavarian cradle that was especially given to me, and I had my baby stuff, and I mean, they were ready, but yeah, it was meager and all of that. So I get it. People were trying to be helpful,
frugal,
right, and say, hey, this would be good idea. So I learned that my mom basically said, heck no, my baby will come when she's good and ready to come. And actually,
hold on. Jen will come when she's good, darn ready.
Yes, because she'll know.
Yes.
And I actually really appreciated that when I heard that mom came to my little defense and didn't force me, because I realize there's a whole myriad of reasons why people induce labor, and sometimes it is a health reason, and sometimes it is determined that is the best interest of mom and child. I'm not making weird judgments, but those things can be jumped on when it's unnecessary as well. And so in my case, I felt like it was the right decision that my mom made, and I'm glad that she stuck with it. Now, with that, I didn't learn that until later, but with that, growing up, I always felt like I was behind and late. I wasn't late necessarily clockwise. I actually liked being early most of the time to things. Sometimes I did things last minute or rushed, but I didn't always show up late to things. However, I usually felt behind in life, like always a little bit behind the curve, always a little bit behind. Now in school, I thrived academically and things like that, but I just mean in general, and some specific things, even like becoming an adult, there were some things I just didn't start early. Like I wasn't raring to drive when I was a teenager. I just felt like, whatever. I was later in getting my license, things like that some people really cared a lot about, and I just didn't really care. And then the older I got, the more I just felt like I was just behind all the time. Well, God really started talking to me several years ago about how I used to say, oh yeah, I was born 8 days late, 8 days late, 8 days late. I always said that. He's like, you were not late. You were right on time. I designed when you were born. He was really pointing his finger at this for a season with me, because I had this whole mindset of I'm late, I'm behind. And even the number 8 has so much significance to it. It's the 8th day of the whole year, which is very significant. It was like he was just teaching me about that. So that was my womb part. So I would during this time of year, I haven't spent a whole lot of time like listening to him regarding this, me being in the womb. In this would have been this season of December, but I know this would have been the time when it was that last month and that pressure against my mom or for my mom, but feeling against would have been coming, and me inside going, hey, I'm not quite ready. I'm almost there, but just hold on. That's that part. Do you want me to talk about other Christmassy things, or are you gonna ping pong, or?
Because see, she really enjoys Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was looking forward. She looks forward to Christmas. Now this Christmas is a little different because her dad passed away last year, and Christmas is his favorite holiday. So this, in many ways, is probably one of the most difficult Christmases she'll encounter. So me downplaying Christmas for me was okay, but at the same time, I realized I wasn't downplaying it because her. I was downplaying because I just didn't really care. And so, I feel like we're getting into weird water, but the bottom line is that, you don't know why people feel the way they feel. Sometimes you really just don't know. You might think somebody's a bah humbug, but maybe they had something happen in their life that caused them to not have a good experience in the holidays. And so they don't even know how to celebrate, or maybe they don't even know how to be celebrated. Listen, I remember my last Christmas with my mom. I told my dad all I wanted for Christmas was for the family to get together and to be together. And do you know what my dad got me for Christmas? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Why? Because all I asked was so we could be together at Christmas, because I knew Mom was going to pass in a few months. I'll be honest with you, that not getting anything for Christmas that year paralyzed me in many ways and caused me to feel like I was just nothing, because everybody got Christmas presents but me, because Dad said, well, that's what you asked for. So very interesting to me when I look at the different experiences that cause me to lean into a place where I didn't enjoy these holidays. But the revelation that one of the reasons is because I was in an incubator when I was first born anyway, and nobody was there to visit with me. My mom was far, far away in my mind. Family far, far away in my mind. Matter of fact, I already knew at birth that nobody really liked me, And so I was just a burden and a hindrance and all that jazz. And so all those things carried forward. I just want to encourage you in this season, when this season is the season where more people kill themselves than any other time of year, I just want to encourage you to be kind to the person that seems like a bah humbug. And don't be mad at the person that seems like every day is a Christmas day during the holiday day when you feel like, what the heck, why are you going overboard? Well, they're not going overboard. They just enjoy the holidays. Tell us some of your favorite things.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, and even now, I mean, Christmas was always a big deal in my family, but not just Christmas Day, the whole season. Particularly my dad was ultra excited. My mom likes Christmas too, but my dad became very childlike in this season. I think probably it's because he had most of his happiest memories were around just some of the fun, exciting things, and I know there can be pressures during holidays, different financial things that happen, sometimes family get-togethers are pressure, or there's different things going on, but for a lot of the season is meant to lift the pressures and for life to be lighter and happier. So I think that's probably a big part of why he enjoyed it so much, was because there was so much joy in the midst of other things going on. But so he became very childlike, and I always, since I can remember, have liked cold weather. I enjoy winter. Even though I live in Texas, I hardly ever see snow. I like snow. Now, I guess if I had to live in it all the time and deal with all the things snow brings, maybe it wouldn't be my favorite. But I enjoy all of that. I love being cozy. I like fireplaces. I like blankets and hot chocolate and eggnog and all the fun treats. I love baking. So growing up, Christmas was a big deal in the whole season. My dad and both my parents, but I specifically remember my dad taking off vacation time from work so they would match when I was off of school, and we would just do fun things together. One of the traditions that we have in our family that I still love to do very much, and I've done it by myself a couple of times, but usually I try to drag at least one person with me, is I like to go driving looking at lights in different neighborhoods and stuff, because I just find so much joy in it. It's beautiful. I mean, I love colors, I love rainbows, I love twinkly, sparkly things. It's like the perfect combination. Usually it's cold outside, and I like to drive with the heater on and the windows down, so you get that cold, hot mix going on with Christmas music on. It's just one of my favorite things to do. We like to watch all those classic shows. Charlie Brown Christmas is probably my number one favorite. It's like 20 minutes long, but they insert the commercials and extend it with the filler. I love the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the animated version. And I also love some of the current ones, like Elf is, I guess, not that new anymore, but
that's one of my favorites.
It's modern-ish. And I like A Christmas Story. I know that one's, you kind of love it or hate it, but even though some of it's ridiculous, I think that's a really funny movie, with the one with the little boy that wants the BB gun. And there's other ones that are cool, but those are like my main ones. And so my dad would get super excited, like, hey, it's coming on Thursday or whatever. Remember the old days when we had TV Guide, the little book? Some of you remember. It was way before fancier, newer television stuff. So even in long seasons when we didn't have cable, you knew that like on Tuesday or Thursday, Frosty the Snowman was coming on. You just like, yeah! It was all built up as exciting. I like shopping anyway for people. Like I enjoy all year long to go out and just walk with God in stores and aisles, and he'll show me very specific things for people, and I get really excited. I love to give. But in the Christmas season, to me, it's for the most part, even though it can get crowded and stuff, for the most part, it's very enjoyable to go just even strolling, not even intending to buy anything, but just strolling through like a really pretty outdoor shopping area or something, because you just get that good vibe in the air. So to me, I was associated with positivity. Now, there's been a season of my adult life where financially things were a major strain, so I didn't get as much joy in the giving, and I didn't get as much joy and I lived by myself for a season. I didn't have as much community. So there was some joy zapped in that, because I liked celebrating with people. There was a season where I lived away from my family, things like that, where I've had to find how to maintain that I love and appreciate and enjoy, that is of God, I believe, in the midst of those changing circumstances. So however it applies to you, if maybe you're like, well, I'm just trying to put food on the table right now, I can't be going out shopping or whatever, that's okay. You can still find the joy. If you're like, I don't care about TV, I don't like those shows, or they bring me bad memories or whatever, then there's always something else that you can take a hold of in the season. For some people, it's going out to, like, there's free concerts like during this season, a symphony or a local church choir or a children's play, or even like the high schools and things put on different programs you can go and see.
I want to give a plug. I was at HEB the other day, and they have a little choir in front of the Christmas trees, and they're all dressed in little plantation things with little hats and everything. And there's rest you carry, gentlemen, and they were singing all sorts of things. And they had a Santa to go sit on his lap for all you people that think that's a heathen thing to do. It was still fun, and there were adults there too. And I thought, hey, we should us sisters, because you're fam. We should all go and sit on Santa's lap. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway, HEB over here at 99 Morton, by the way. Go jam it out. Check it out. Tell them we sent you.
I might have been droning on, but my point was like
You're not droning.
Just the
I just don't want to miss it.
the happiness that I associate with the season. My family also likes to do jigsaw puzzles during this time. We just have one going on the table, and then we kind of for actual Christmas Day, we have the whole other thing that we just do, and includes like a main meal and things. But for the most part, we cook a lot of food because we like leftovers like for days. And so after we eat our main meal on Christmas, everyone's just kind of doing our own thing. There's usually fun, good Christmassy things on the television. Some people are napping. Some people are going to get their second or third plate of food for the day. Some people are playing with their new toys or their new gadgets, or like enjoying their new gifts. And then it's like everybody just kind of, we're all just crossing and loving and working on the puzzle and take a nap and eat and watch and take a nap and eat and watch and work on stuff. And it's just enjoyable to me. So yes, last year, my dad, he, from November 1st through January 14th, he were his final days on earth before he went to the heavens. And so in that season, there were days where we didn't actually know how long he'd be here. How do we celebrate this season? We want to celebrate. We're going to celebrate. Is Dad going to be here? Is he not here? Do we buy him a present? What kind of present do you buy him? Do we cook a meal? We could hardly even leave the house. We were just so busy and everything was going on. So it was interesting navigating through that season, which was extremely intense. But there was still joy and still love to be had, even in the midst of that. I didn't watch any of the classic shows. I think I missed all of them. We did get some eggnog. Some people brought us baked goods, which was a happy thing. I actually lost weight during that season, even though I was eating like junk like no tomorrow.
Can I just real quick, if you're just tuning in, one of the things we're talking about is the holiday season and how some people hate it and how some people love it. And you don't always know what's inside someone's heart, what's inside their cellular memory, why they love it, why they hate it. Talk about how I really didn't care anything about the holidays, but it's like her favorite day on earth. And so she's sharing right now on her standpoint.
Yeah. So just my point being, we did the best that we could with what we had to give. I'm trying to get you to relate to whatever situation you're in, physical, relational, financial. It doesn't have to look like somebody else's experience. The point is the spirit of it. And so last year was very different for my family, was what I was getting at. And so this year, it's the first time without Dad here on the earth. Yeah. And so I was going to I went to a seasonal grief class for several weeks, and they just gave some helpful hints and things. And so I just took some nuggets from that. And on the final one, they have one called Surviving the Holidays. They just give some suggestions, and you just take what applies. And so I took what applied, and one of the things that applied was they suggest make a full list, like don't edit yourself, just write out every single thing you could think of that you usually appreciate during the holidays. You like to do, you like to buy, who people you like to hang out with, et cetera, et cetera. And then you look at that list, and then you say, okay, what are the things maybe like for now? Well, some of the things are like, well, that's not going to happen again because Dad's not physically here. Like Dad and I, it was like the one time of year that he and I would go to a particular, very well-known coffee chain. It was like the only time of year I ever went there. It was a big deal. The thing you go to every single day.
The Bucks.
Yes. I only went there during the Christmas season with my dad, and it was very special. So That's not happening anymore. Okay, so, but now I get it a lot because I live with people that eat it, drink it almost every single day of their life.
We don't drink. Okay, we don't. Okay,
I didn't mean that as a negative thing.
I don't think it's a negative thing.
Normal
we
to
don't
you.
drink
it
it
wasn't
every
normal
day,
to
but
me.
it is something we do. We actually get Brazilian coffee delivered to the house, but Craig does like a Starbucks.
Okay. Anyway, so it was literally the one time of year that I went there. And then, so that's not happening. Things like that, where literally with dad physically absent, certain things aren't going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
But then there are other things that it's like, okay, look at the list and what maybe can be modified. Like, I still like to go look at lights, so I don't have to have dad with me for that, even though we love doing it together. There are other people I can enjoy that with. There are other people I can drink eggnog with. There are other people I can, or some things I can do by myself. There are other things that, you know what, maybe in the future I'll revisit these things that I like to do, but for now, it's okay to just put those things on pause. We'll see in the future how it all unfolds. And so I'm learning, and maybe you're learning, if you've had a shifting season, or maybe you've already been through these things, or you're going to, because it all affects all of us at some point, in some way. Or maybe the loss of a job, that shifts things quickly. Or natural disaster has happened. I've known people who had like their house burned down or they got robbed right at Christmas. I mean, these things shake things quickly. And so you just say, okay, where are we at? And how do we move forward? So wherever you're at with all of this, there's always, God is always here, and he's always ready to bring abundant life. And it can look like having a giant feast. It can look like enjoying a simple little meal with someone that you love. It doesn't have to look like anything else. So whatever that is, just embrace.
Yes. And listen, if you have an abundance, I encourage you not to feel guilty. You don't have to feel guilty that you have an abundance. And listen, if you don't have an abundance, and if you just have dilly squat, you don't have to feel guilty because you don't have anything. Mm-hmm. We just release you from all guilt either way. Don't allow yourself to come under the burden of guilt. The burden of guilt because maybe you can't provide what you'd like to provide to your spouse or your children or to yourself. Or the burden of guilt that you have all of this to give, but nobody over here has what you have, or these people don't have what you have, and you just can't give it to everybody, so you give where you can. I just want to encourage you to take stock in this season and make a new decision. My new decision is I'm going to enjoy Christmas. And honestly, I don't know what that's going to look like for me. It really stunned me to realize, because I didn't see it. I didn't know that I didn't like Christmas. I didn't know that I didn't really enjoy the holidays. I really didn't know. I just thought it was who I was. I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal. It's not a big deal. It's nothing. Just another day. And in many ways, it really is just another day. Man, every day we can breathe is a new day. It's a good day. It's a Christmas day. It's a Jesus day. It's an awesome day. Thank God day. But I think somewhere along the way, maybe I mentally poo-pooed on people that made such a big deal of it. Right? Because inside my heart, I'm like, why does it have to be such a big deal? But now I realize there's a place of celebration where you celebrate your own life, you celebrate the lives of others, you celebrate of the one that you came from, that there's a place inside where you choose to celebrate that you have been created, that you are alive. Instead of poo-pooing on yourself that you don't have enough, or poo-pooing on yourself that you have too much. There's a place where you make a decision regarding who you are and where you are and what you're doing on the planet today. And some things don't change overnight. It could be that you worked your butt off to have a whole bunch of stuff and you've got it, and that's what you've got. Listen, no guilt. And it could be you don't have anything to give. Maybe you don't even have anything hardly to eat. Listen, I'm just being honest. Surely we all know people on every spectrum. I encourage you this season to make a new decision regarding where you are in life on the planet. And whatever decision you make, let it not be a decision out of woe is me, out of I don't have nothing, nobody loves me, out of I've got too much, I must not love anybody because I've got too much, whatever. Maybe make a new decision on what you can do with who you are, where you're on the way to where you're going, and make it a place of celebration and not just a place of escape. Not a place of, well, I'm just going to do this and I'm out of here and I'm sick of this, I'm done with all this and I'm going to go do that. That's not wisdom. That's not maturity. That's either being shut down or running away. But there's a place in between called stand up. And when you're on the way to standing up, you can either shut down and say, woe is me, or you can stand up and say, I'm going to rise and I'm going to enjoy who I am while I'm on the way to where I'm going, and let God provide whatever it is I'm supposed to have in this season as I move forward. Does any of that make sense?
It's good.
Make sense to you?
It does.
Listen, my sister for a season was in a homeless shelter. She has passed on. It was very difficult for her to live out of a homeless shelter. There were things that happened in that shelter that were not cool, that should not be allowed in this country, honestly. But I noticed that she loved the holidays. And it didn't matter how much she had or how much she didn't have. Do you know? She always had a little bell or something on her. And she always decided to be happy. You know? Even in a place where she had little to nothing, she had made a decision to be happy. Her happiness was not based on what she had or what she didn't have. Did she want more? Of course she did. Did she enjoy being in a wheelchair and being pushed around? No, of course she didn't. Would she have rather walked? Of course she would have. Would she have rather be closer to her family? Absolutely. But there are times in life when you get to the place where you can't go back. You can't redo. You can only be and move forward with a better intention than the one you lived with. And I watched her do that. I was with my sister when she passed. Nobody was there with her but me. My family was on the way. My point is, as a matter of fact, she passed in January. Interesting. And she wasn't feeling well in November. As a matter of fact, I remember, oh my gosh, I'm just thinking about this. You know, remember we solve all the world's problems, or maybe just one. I remember at Thanksgiving how she didn't want to come over. I remember how she said, no, I just want to stay here. And she remained in her, where she was. She was in a nursing place at the time. And I knew inside me, my heart, I'm like, you know what? Something's changed. I knew something had changed. And I knew in January when she passed on, she had made her own transition. She knew then that there was change coming. And so what I saw her do, she decided to enjoy every single one of those moments. When she was with me, she was with me. When she was with her husband, she was with her husband. She enjoyed all those moments. She was kind to all those nursing staff. And they weren't always kind to her. But I watched her in her nothing, that she had nothing. She had really physically on earth next to nothing. I watched her do the best she could with who she was while she was on the way to where she was going. And it was a huge lesson for me.
Make this brief, but for a season I was at a church where a friend of mine used to drive to church, and he would see someone homeless and say, hey, how'd you like to make X amount of money for a couple of hours? And they'd be like, sure. Like, some would say, nah, I'm good. But some would say, yes, I'm willing. I'll work whatever I need to do. And so they'd get in his car, and he would bring them to church, and he would actually pay them for a couple of hours. And some of them stayed for a while. And there was one particular man, his name was John, and he stayed, I forget now, he was with us for quite a while. And his life ended up slowly transitioning and turning. He ended up getting a meager apartment and things like that. But,
wow.
And then he did go to heaven. But before he got his apartment, when he was still like living out of a tent or something, which I think one time his tent got stolen. I mean, it's just a crazy life out there. But his heart had changed so much. He was inspiring us all the time and teaching us things that, I mean, it was like blowing us away with some of the things that would come straight out of his mouth from God. You're like, wow, hello, mister. I've lived on the streets for however many years, and I'm speaking straight from God's heart. But there was a day he was on his knees in a gas station parking lot praying for someone, and he actually had a heart attack, and he was in the hospital on Christmas. So one of my friends went to visit him and was like, I'm so sorry you're spending the holidays in the hospital. And we just felt so bad. And he was like, what are you talking about? I have a warm bed. I have a full meal. He was like, this is the best Christmas I've ever had. And he meant it. He was twinkly-eyed. I was like, dude, you had a heart attack and you're homeless. Like, what the heck? You have no one. But yet he had found like the true meaning, really. And it was so humbling and inspiring to us. It's not just some, fairy tale story of, oh, that's a nice little story, pat, pat, pat. It was real. And I remember just thinking, wow, and it wasn't for me to feel guilty, like, oh man, I just had my priorities wrong. It was nothing like that. It was inspiring me to fully embrace like what God has for all of us. So that was just one of my like put me in my place, but in a good way, experiences. And it was precious. Mm-hmm.
It was precious. Listen, my dad used to say, I don't remember exactly, I had it hanging for a long time and I can't remember exactly, but it's basically, don't judge a man until you walked a mile in his shoes.
Yeah.
Don't condemn somebody until you've been where they're at. In that place, you might see someone and they may look like they have everything going for them. They might have a beautiful suit on with Italian leather shoes and a tie, and may look like all their clothing gets dry cleaned and they have it all together. But you don't know what's on the inside of that person. You don't know their past. You don't know their present. You don't know their future. You don't know that behind that smile is a man or a woman stuck in alcoholism or being abused or abusing or attempting suicide or on painkillers all the time just to walk. You don't know. I just want to encourage you to just make a new decision how you see yourself and how you see the people around you. Judging so harshly when you don't know. I know someone who basically is always criticizing the church and always criticizing people with money. It's a very interesting dichotomy because this person loves God. It looks like they have some kind of ministry or something. And they used to be wealthy. But they gave it all to go with Jesus. But the fruit of their mouth is criticism upon people that have a lot They don't know what those people are doing behind the scenes. They don't know how much they're giving or not giving. You don't know what's behind the person with a smile, and you don't know what's behind the person with a frown. You don't know what's behind the person with the shabby clothes, and you don't know what's behind the person with the pressed clothes. And you could be the person that smiles, that genuinely is interested in them, and that could go out of your way to be kind and not be intimidated by their shabbiness or their fanciness. We're fixing to close, but I know Jen has something else. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say we should probably close. But with the smile, I just sense to also include, sometimes there's trouble behind the smile. Sometimes, though, it's a genuine smile, but we don't know the journey it took to get to that smile.
Whoa.
Maybe this is the first time they've smiled their whole life.
That's
and
so
actually
good.
meant it.
Wow.
Actually felt it.
So good.
And also the person frowning, we don't know, maybe they're usually the one that's happy-go-lucky, and that day they just got the most devastating news of their life.
Yeah.
I tried to think like that before, but after last year and my experience with my family, it really opened my eyes in so many different ways, and now I do look at people differently, because I'm even less quick to say, well, what the heck is that person's problem? Because I'm like, wow, they might also be, this is the one time they actually got a break and just finally got a shower, or barely got to the grocery store after however many weeks they've been cooped up inside of a house, or that maybe because I remember those things. I remember this is the first, like, I had to get my oil changed a couple days after my dad went to heaven, and it was the place that he went, and I was thinking, I was caring all the time. Wow, nobody here knows like what I just went through. Like, it was so weird. And I thought, how many people am I seeing like that every day? Because I wasn't always crying or always saying anything. It was just I was getting my oil changed, So it's just something to think about, not just in this season, but all the time. But in this season, when people are moody or just tired, there's a lot of tired people too right now. There's a lot going on.
It's an exhausting season for a lot of people. Some people are exhausted because people are gone at work and they're on vacation, so they have to pick up the bowl. Some people are exhausted because they don't know where their next meal's coming from. Some people are exhausted because they're just doing all they can just to move forward. So listen, just be kind. Remember, you don't know necessarily what's behind that person's demeanor. And you just might stop and consider your own demeanor. And how you want your next year to look like. Listen, your next year is not based on where you live. Your next year is not based on what you do. The success or failure of your next year is not your next venture, not your next marriage, not your next church you try, not some clothes you want to purchase. Listen, your next year is going to be determined on where you are in your heart regarding who you are as a human, and the peace that you're willing to step in and walk in as you face life, as you face the situations around you. It's such a personal decision to just choose to forgive and be forgiven and to rock on. It really is a solid decision. And it doesn't always come easy, like she said. You don't know the price people pay. And one last thing, and we are going to close. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's just, don't rag on people because they got pictures of themselves all over their doggone Facebook page. Who the heck cares?
Oh my goodness.
Give them a break. You know what? I had the ugliest teeth for most of my life, and then I got real teeth. And I tell you what, if I did a selfie every single freaking day, I say just laugh and celebrate that I'm willing to even have my picture, that I'm even willing to be on a Facebook.
Well, if you're going to go there,
bring it.
PPS.
PPS.
Because we really need to, we're like...
Yeah, I know, we're late, but that's good. We'll eat when we get there.
I know a well-known worship leader who one time, when in his younger years, he has a lot of stories about when he was more immature, and he was very gifted, the gift is there, but the maturity takes time. And when he was much more immature, he was leading worship, and it was one of those times when like everybody in the room's just, you know, dancing and shouting and moving around and woohoo. And there was this one man that was sitting there with his arms crossed just like this. And this guy that I know, he's like, wow, like what the heck is that man's problem? Like he's obviously not worshiping God, and that's weird, and I don't know what, maybe he's like judging us or whatever. He was thinking stuff like that, and he said God just immediately, and he was, you know, God's always love, but sometimes he moves in like, hey, and you know, like, oh, he said, how do you know that I didn't just free that man of Tourette's? And this is the first time he's been able to sit in peace his whole life. Who are you to judge whether he is worshiping me or not? And the guy was like, oh. And he said it literally shifted everything. And that was years ago. He's never thought that again about anybody's expression.
He made a new decision.
Or non-expression of worship. And so I value that because for lots of reasons. Anyway, it's another reason of we just never know.
No, that's a decision. And you know what? I remember Pastor Bob telling a story, and I may not have it exactly, perfectly, whatever, but years ago at what was known as the Brownsville Revival.
Revival.
You can tell I'm from the South.
Brownsville Revival.
There was a man that was dancing and flailing around. He was a big man, so he was basically making a ruckus. And Pastor Bob talked about how he thought it's kind of ridiculous. You need to kind of calm down. You know, this is like in his early days there. And anyway, he's asking somebody about him. He said, oh, yeah, he was supernaturally healed of being a paraplegic.
Dang.
And so he was happy he could move.
Yep.
And so similar to the person you're talking about, I shouldn't have said his name, sorry. Pastor Bob passed on a couple years ago, and he was one of my favorite people in the whole world. And he was honest and he was real regarding gut-wrenching situations. And so he shared that publicly, just to share, you know, your heart. It's important that you keep your heart clean of ugly. And sometimes you need somebody pointing out to you. In her case, this person, God pointed out to him. But in this other case, he asked somebody and somebody told him. And I don't think that person even knew that he was feeling like that. I don't know. Pastor Bob still would have been upfront about it. So anyway,
I think we've all been guilty of comparison. We've all been guilty of assumption. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. And it also includes against ourselves. So we need to not do any of that.
We'll do that another day. We can go deep in the judge yourself thing.
Yep.
Anyway, we bless you today. Thank you so much for, we haven't been on in quite a while. And we are pretty impromptu. I've thought about planning these things out and having an area for that. And I may do that, but right now, we just enjoy just the peace of just coming on and enjoying.
Back on.
Oh, well, here you go. One moment, please.
So regardless of your background, your womb experience, your, you know, autumn, winter journey, etc., we want you to have a very merry everything.
Have
Happy
yourself a very. Hey, I'm the mini pearl. I'm the Christmas.
She said, howdy.
I'm the mini pearl. Howdy!
I love
the mini pearl of Christmas. Anyhow, we bless you guys, and we'll see you again. We're rocking on. So, thanks for joining Friday Fellowship, where we solve all the world's problems, or maybe just one. Until soon. Share with a friend.
Yes.
You never know, they might enjoy it. Until soon. I'd say bye, but I have no idea what happened here. Not real sure how to get out of this.
Oh, there you go.
Hello there, Brent. Hi, David. We didn't know anybody was watching. We couldn't tell anything about anybody. So I apologize. We usually don't try to ignore people. We try to acknowledge people. Gosh dog it. Thanks for watching. We feel better because it looked like nobody cared. I'm just kidding.
Well, This
Hi,
fancy
Miss
little
Sheila.
twinkle around us was blocking any activity, so we couldn't really see anybody's,
Yes, you can't see anything.
comments or non-comments. Or...
And honestly, when we come on, sometimes we have a topic. This time we actually just were winging it, except that we had talked about how I really had decided I was going to choose to celebrate this Christmas season. Even to the point where I told my sister, if we do Christmas at the house, I actually would like to do all the food. She's like, what? Because she normally does it. But honestly, I'm just thinking about what that would look like and what that would mean. And I think it would probably be a really good thing for me to do that. I don't know that that is what I'm going to end up doing. I honestly just have not decided. But regardless of whether we do Christmas actually on Christmas Day or we do Christmas on a different day, the whole point will be that we made a new decision. And in that new decision, it's a decision to celebrate. So it doesn't matter if it's on that exact day or not. Mm-hmm. It's just the decision to move forward from a place that you know is old to a new place where it can set your intention for the next year. And so that it will be a better year all the way around. So we bless you guys. Thank you all for joining. Until soon.
Bye.
Bye. Howdy.